A beautiful day out with the Honda Grom, and we're talking mods. I don't imagine 99% of people who get a Honda Grom will keep it stock. The monkey's different. If I had a monkey, I'd still modify it, but since it has kind of that classic vibe to it, I would imagine you probably want to keep that uh, stock if possible. Or just making sure my saddlebag wasn't sitting on my Yoshi exhaust there. But let's talk about mods on the Grom, and I'm going to give you guys the top 5 mods that I've done to this bike. I honestly don't know how many mods I've done to it, but I'm going to go over the top 5 that I think are pretty much must-haves on this motorcycle, and most of them are going to be pretty affordable. All right, so if this is your only bike, well, you don't want to spend too much money into it, because once you start doing that, you could get yourself a much more capable bike for how much money you dump into it. So being price conscious when you're modifying your Groms is really important. So let's go and throw a leg over, and then we're going to talk about the mods that I think are the most important on this motorcycle. Mod number 1. Well, this bike, your visibility to others is already not good. So I'm going to say the first modification you should do is just put a slip-on exhaust on here. Now, whoops, I have the wrong blinker on. I have the Yoshi exhaust. This is the full racing exhaust, which is probably illegal in most places. But I put the baffle in here, and it sounds amazing. I love how this bike sounds. It sounds incredible. In fact, when I had my MT-09, I like the sound of my Grom better than the MT-09, even though I put a full exhaust on that bike. So it just comes down to personal preference. So it doesn't have to be the Yoshi, because the Yoshi is really expensive. You can get a cheap eBay slip-on this bike for a lot less money. Probably around $100 or something. So that's the route I'd be going if you need to budget this motorcycle out. All right, so exhaust is a must. 1, so you can hear the bike a lot better, and 2, so you can be heard, right? Because you're not going to be seen a lot of the time on this. You want to have an aftermarket pipe. I don't care which brand. Obviously I have the Yoshi pipe. That's to some, that's like S tier exhaust on this bike, I would say. But let's move on. Now, to accompany the exhaust, actually what I got before the exhaust, which I think is a must-have as well, because if you don't want to change the pipe, you can still make this bike audible to others. So the first 2 modifications here are kind of performance / noise enhancers, and that's the TST Works Airbox mod. It's actually not much of a airbox mod. You're just kind of changing the filter. You're not doing a lot of cutting or any major modifications, and that's something I wanted to focus on in this video. It's like, these are going to be, as long as you have basic tools, you're going to be able to change these parts out, no problem. Yeah, the TST Works, the induction noise goes from nothing on this motorcycle to sounding like you have an aftermarket exhaust. Even if you have the stock exhaust, the TST Works makes this bike heard to others. It sounds so good snarling with the TST Works Airbox modification. It's a must-have in my opinion. I don't remember how much it costs, but 1, the performance you get out of it, the bike wakes up a little bit, but then you also have that amazing snarl you get from it. All right. Oh my gosh, it's like equal exhaust, equal intake. It just sounds really, really nice. All right, shall we go around? We're gonna go around. All right. Now, getting a tune, that's my neighbor. No, I also have I want to say it's a DHM. It's been a while since I modified it, but I have the DHM Stage 1 tune on the ECU here. I don't think it's necessary, to be honest, because I didn't really notice any performance gains. I think the bike's fueling was a little bit better with having the DHM tune on here, and I think it pulls a little bit harder to rev line, but I'm hardly ever pushing this bike to redline as it is, because most of the power is made before 7,000 RPM, I would say. All right, so don't really recommend tuning this unless you get a cam. Then I think it's absolutely necessary, but I don't think a cam is a top 5 mod on here, honestly, unless you feel like you need to go. Here's the thing, once you start going around 70 miles an hour on the Grom, you should be upgrading your suspension, upgrading your brakes, because this thing has very limited brakes and suspension from the factory. All right, and those are not top 5 mods I recommend. I haven't even done those mods, a brake mod or suspension mod, because it requires a lot of work, requires a lot of expertise, requires a lot of money, and I don't want to put any more money into this bike at this point. I think I'm pretty much done, save I guess moving on to the next thing, which we could talk about, the rear set chain tensioner on the back. I can't even think of the name for it. I want to say that's TST as well. Here's the thing, the stock chain on this is trash, and you have to tension it depending on how much you ride this thing. You're probably adjusting the chain tension at least once every 6 weeks. If you ride it daily, you're probably adjusting the stock chain every 2 weeks. All right, so that the spool / adjuster combo that replaces the stock chain adjuster and makes it a lot easier and more accurate, I highly recommend it. It takes maybe a half an hour to an hour to install, but I think it's totally worth your time, because it's going to make adjusting your chain a lot easier and stress-free, pretty much. So can't recommend that TST. I forget exactly what it's called, but I'm already ready to move on to the next one, because coming to a stop here, I just really appreciated the seat I hear. This is called the Cheeky Seats. This is one of the, I think maybe the last mod. Oh no, it's not the last mod. Second to last mod I made on this bike. So the Cheeky seat here makes this, I can sit on this bike for essentially ever now. Previously the seat was just too hard for me, too uncomfortable, and that's it. Like, this is just a more comfortable seat. Now, it wasn't the cheapest mod I've done to this bike. I mean, these mirrors are super cheap, these levers are cheap. Those are not top 5 mods in my opinion. I mean, the levers are real nice. That's definitely probably a top 10 mod on this bike. These bars, not worth it. What they call the Pro Taper bars, for how much work it took to put them on, I don't recommend it to the average person putting on these Pro Taper bars. Was it from the KLX 110 or whatever? Yes, I'm never going to recommend that to anyone unless you like wrenching on your bike a lot. Otherwise, it's just not worth your time or the money to put on this Pro Taper bar. And the grips, like, whatever. I'm not even that happy with the grips I put on here. But Cheeky seat, not sponsored by any of these companies today, but I can't recommend Cheeky seat enough. Like, I can sit on this bike forever now, and it's comfortable all the way around too. I can slide up, be super upright on the bike, or I can stick my ass way back, and then it kind of feels like a cafe racer. It's like this seat, it's a lot easier to slide around on this Cheeky seat. It's more comfortable. I got the double padding, and you can customize the color. Like, I got this color to match my Yoshimura sticker kit, which Yoshimura sticker kit, I got it for like 20-30 bucks. They're typically maybe three to four times that, but I got it on a sale and I'm really happy with it. But that's not a top 5 mod. So what have I covered so far? I've covered the seat, I've covered the chain tensioner, I've covered the exhaust, and the TST works. Okay, so the next one is the next one here as I do this U-turn. I'm using this last mod right now and highly recommend this mod. I don't even know the brand of the shifter. I couldn't stand the stock shifter on here. It's sloppy. It's hard to find neutral. We'll talk about this aftermarket shifter neutral here in a second. But it's really difficult to find neutral on the stock shifter. There's just a lot of like free play in it. I replaced that sloppy linked unit with just a single bar, and it took like 5 minutes to do it. All right. So if you have questions about how to change out the shifter, let me know, because I've seen some videos that make it way harder than it needs to be. It's really easy to switch out the shifter if you know what you're doing. All right. So yeah, the stock shifter was trash, and shifting this bike was sloppy. I would miss upshifts all the time, like going third to fourth especially. I feel like I would miss that a lot. Like I would clutch up for the next gear, and then it wouldn't grab the next gear. So it just really was angering me. So I guess that's a performance mod, but it's just also a quality of life mod on this bike to replace the shifter with a solid piece that has. Some people are worried about the aftermarket shifters because you got to get the ones that have like the little spring loaded peg. So if you were to drop the bike, the peg would bend back, all right, and you're less likely to damage the gearbox, all right. So yeah, that's my fifth, and it's in no particular order, these mods. I mean, maybe the exhaust and the intake are pretty high up there for mods, but the top 5, they're all super important for me, and they're all modifications I don't think I could live without. But I have a special one for you guys. You saw me when I was walking around the bike. This next mod is something that I think everyone should have. You don't need to have it equipped all the time, but the saddlebags on the Grom, I think these are from Kemimoto. I think these mirrors are also Kemimoto. There's an RS6 Avant, no big deal. The saddlebags here are like a must have, and it really transforms the usability of this bike. Like, yes, you can take a backpack with you, but backpacks get cumbersome, they get heavy, and if you're riding, I don't know, anywhere of good distance or of good time duration, backpacks are just uncomfortable, right? And they're going to fatigue you. So these saddlebags, man, I picked up beer, I picked up food supplies. I love going to Walmart or Whole Foods. I've gone to Trader Joe's, I think, with the Grom. So just picking up knickknacks on the Grom is amazing. It transforms the usability of it. Instead of running to the store in your car for all your needs, you can find excuses to take the Grom instead. And I also put, and maybe I'll get off so you guys can see here, and that's the thing with this shifter. It took me a while to find neutral, but the secret is you do. Oh well, shit, we're on a green. But the secret to getting this new shifter into neutral is to half click it up. It won't find second if you do a half click, but it won't find neutral either. So you're in first, you do a half click up. On the stock transmission, you're lucky to get neutral. This transmission is impossible to find neutral with the half click up. So what you do is you do a half click down, and then it finds neutral every single time. All right, so can't recommend the aftermarket shifter enough compared to the stock one. So yes, baby. All right. What else? Okay. So yeah, saddlebags, man. Get some saddlebags. It transforms the usability on the bike, and it gives you more reason to ride it. Once I've got these saddlebags, I actually haven't taken them off. I think it gives the bike a more ridiculous look, and I think it kind of it kind of softens the image of the Grom, because the Grom is kind of seen as like this is attention-getting punk ass, like a punk kid's bike, which it totally is, and that's what makes it so fun. But the saddlebags transform it into like this mini tourer, and tourers are like some of the least offensive motorcycles. They're probably, I'd say touring bikes are the least offensive motorcycles on the market. You know, sport bikes will piss people off just because they're so aggressive looking. Harleys will piss people off because people, for whatever reason, don't like Harleys. I like all bikes. I don't care what you ride. But like the saddlebags here are kind of like the icing on the cake mod. They're also cheap. And then shoot, I should just stop because I really want to show you guys. I want to show you guys. Gosh, and here's that neutral hack. Okay, I just did a half click up. It says no gear. Half click down, and then you're neutral. So there's my little cheat code on the aftermarket shifter, which is right there. PPR, whatever, something Pit Pro Racing. But yeah, the saddlebags, and then I put this thing on because I think it looks cool, and you could even attach a crate there or additional luggage if I ever decide to do some touring across the state of Florida. So there's my Honda Grom. Absolutely love this thing. I enjoy riding it every single time I'm on it. It is not a practical bike for most people because it tops out around 60 miles per hour, even with mods. If you do the cam mod, which again, not a top 5 modification, but if you do the cam mod, then this thing will go probably 70 plus, but then you got to upgrade the brakes and the suspension like I mentioned. So I love the Grom. I think it's a mini moto in general is probably, if you can afford it, it should be your second motorcycle, because it just, Honda's figured out, well, especially Honda, because they do it the best with the mini motos, but they know that with a mini moto, it kind of encapsulates the joy of riding. And you don't need a big, expensive, heavy, complicated motorcycle to get the most fun out of motorcycling. God, this shifter is so good now. Oh man. Yep, so they're my top 5 to 6 mods on the Honda Grom. You got the TST Works Airbox mod. You got an aftermarket exhaust. I don't care which brand. It just helps with hearing the bike and other people hearing the bike. What did I say? The shifter, the cheeky seat mod, and then the chain tensioner is very important here for just easier maintenance. Oh yes. All right, guys, I'm going to shut it down there. Signing out from my Honda Grom here. Very, very, very happy with this purchase. Very happy with this motorcycle. And I like how Honda's made it to an affordable-ish price. It's expensive for the type of motorcycle you're getting, but it's just a really good template to make this motorcycle whatever you want. And the top 5 mods to 6 mods I talked about in this video today really even set this bike to that next level for you guys to enjoy it a lot more. All right, so thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out from the 2023 Honda Grom. Oh gosh, feeling like a hooligan. Stay safe out there, guys. Peace. That is a big dog. Do you guys ever get worried about big dogs chasing you while you're on a motorcycle? Like, that's not even a dog, that's a horse. Great Dane. That's what it looked like to me. I don't know, I got a husky, and I'm kind of blind to most other dogs that aren't huskies. All right, peace out.